Hi everyone, it's Heather from Geek Gals. This video is going to be a little bit different from the videos that I've put out already. I wanted to start making some different content, and I thought I would start with the topic of authenticity, particularly authenticity within the online spiritual community, just because it's something that's been talked about a lot recently. I also just wanted to show you before I started, right, how my brain works. So I typed up some notes about this, and then I don't know if you can see, but as I've waited to make this video, I've just expanded and expanded, and that's how my brain works. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that. So like I said, authenticity is something that's been talked about quite a lot lately for one reason or another within the spiritual community, both on Facebook and here on YouTube and in other places. But I honestly think that it's something that's talked about a lot in the pagan witchy community all the time. I think that for a lot of us, we often want to live a more authentic life, and it's that living outside the norm almost that brings us to these types of communities in the first place. And so authenticity is already something that's a real driving factor for us in our lives, and something that we are strong proponents of. I also find that it's something that's talked about a lot within the tarot circles. As I've said before, tarot and spiritual circles tend to have a massive amount of overlap anyway, so you would expect to find it there. And it is also something that's talked about a lot within life coaching circles as well, and any kind of self-development type practitioner work. You tend to find that authenticity is something that is considered and discussed a lot. Other than that, it's not something that ever really comes up, so it's not something that's ever really a factor in my conversations with people excuse me, who aren't involved in one of those groups. Now, since I started putting content on YouTube, authenticity and being authentic is something that's been on my mind as a content creator more and more. In terms of my own spirituality, authenticity is something that I always strive for anyway. If it's not authentic, then it's not going to work for me, then what's the point? But in terms of creating content, for me, it's really about finding a sense of balance. I'm actually, in a lot of ways, I'm a really private person. I'm not an oversharer. I don't let people into my space easily. I'm not really a share your shit kind of girl. So trying to figure out the balance between being authentic and not being so overly open and sharey that actually I just end up uncomfortable and so inauthentic as a result. Something else that I've been thinking about in terms of YouTube particularly, sorry, I was just letting the dog get off my knee, was the idea that actually in and of itself, creating a video like this isn't natural or authentic for me, especially at this stage. I'm not a talker. I mean, I like to talk, but in my interactions with others, I'm quite often more of a listener than a talker. There are no circumstances that I can think of in my life where I would talk for 20 minutes without some kind of input from another person. This to me right now isn't the most authentic way to communicate with people. So there's that, and that's something that's been on my mind. Now, because I'm a geek, I like to look things up. That's kind of where I start from. So I like to figure out what the dictionary says, or, you know, even Wikipedia, whatever, and kind of work from there, my definition of something and how it then relates to how I feel. So this is where I'm going to refer to my notes. So the Cambridge Dictionary describes it as the quality of being real or true, And Wikipedia states that within existential philosophy, I don't think I said that right, it is described as the degree to which an individual's actions are congruent with their beliefs and desires. Authenticity extends the message at Delphi from know yourself to don't merely know yourself, be yourself. And for me, that's the bottom line for me with authenticity. It's about how genuine you are and about how honest you are and how you are presenting yourself to others in line with your core values and your core beliefs. And I think that kind of leads us on to the whole witchcraft aesthetic trend that is the topic of a lot of conversations at the moment, and whether or not they can ever truly be authentic. And I would be inclined to argue that they can be authentic. I think it really does depend on the person and whether it is in line with who they are and whether that aesthetic is a genuine part of how they present themselves and how they live within the world. What's authentic for one person is going to be fake for another, is not going to be authentic for another, because we're all different and we all have a different worldview and we all have different core beliefs and different values that we're operating from. So authenticity is about being true to you, and all of us are different. When you look at me, for today, for example, and my other videos, I don't think it's going to come as a massive shock to anybody that the aesthetic is not a major part of who I am or how I practice or how I choose to present myself to the world. If I tried to make videos with pretty lighting, where I was wearing lots of makeup and my hair was perfect, and I was talking in this really breathy voice about all these ethereal concepts that, were really just mumbo jumbo BS, I would sound like I was talking mumbo jumbo BS, and I would frankly look ridiculous because it's not my style. But for other people, that is what their witchcraft is all about, and for them that is about keeping it real. That is, how they share themselves with the world, if you like. I do think ultimately it's difficult to tell whether somebody's authentic or not from a couple of videos or a couple of Instagram posts or a couple of Facebook posts or whatever. I think part of authenticity has to be about consistency and asking ourselves, is this person's behaviour consistent? And that's not to say that people don't change. People do. We change all the time. Our beliefs change, our values change, our perceptions change. The more that we learn and the more information that we take on, the more that we change, the more that we grow. And it is possible that somebody's style, their beliefs, their opinions and their values will change over time. And I think over time is absolute key there. I don't believe there's anybody who changes completely overnight. If somebody is going through a process of growth and change and becoming more about aesthetics or whatever, you'll see that in them over time. You'll see little changes here and there. They'll flick from here to there and back again, and they might, over time you'll see them go through a process. If they just wake up one day and start putting out all this content that's completely different from anything they've ever done before, that's not authenticity, that's marketing. If you change like that overnight, that's about gaining viewers and gaining popularity. That's not about being authentic. What else did I want to say? Yes, I do find that within the spiritual YouTube community, we hold people to a much higher standard when it comes to authenticity than we do in any other YouTube community. And I strongly believe that that's absolutely the way that it should be. I think that for a lot of vloggers, it is about popularity, and it's about marketing, and it's about gaining as many views and as many subscribers as you possibly can, and it's about being willing to do anything that works to get people to watch you and to connect with you and to follow you, and that's their bottom line. But if you want to get involved and you choose to get involved within a specific niche community, a spiritual community, then it should be about building connections. It should be about sharing with people. It should be about facilitating growth, both other people's growth and your own. It should be about basically community building. And communities are built on trust and respect, and those things come out of authenticity. So I totally get why people are angry over the whole aesthetic witchcraft thing that's on vogue at the moment. And I get why it's an issue and it's being talked about, and why people are having strong emotional reactions to it, especially when the aesthetic videos that are being made and that are popular and are very popular are made by people who honestly couldn't witch their way out of a paper bag, to put it bluntly. They have very, very little knowledge of what it is they're actually talking about. It's all sparkles and no substance. It's, you know, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. It's very pretty to look at. They're very shiny people. They, you know, it's lovely, but what they're saying is effectively the equivalent of drivel. I get why that makes people angry. Personally, I tend to avoid channels with videos like how to make your witchy makeup on point, or how to become a professional tarot reader in one day, because I don't care. I just don't care. That's not what I'm here for. I want to know how you connect with the divine. I want to know how nature and your expression through nature grows over time, how creativity factors into your belief system, how you're changing, how you're growing, how you're connecting with your community, how you're serving your community. I want to know what moves you on a spiritual level. I want to know, you know, something with a little bit of depth, right? I just want depth and breadth within my spiritual community. And I also personally want my spirituality to be taken seriously and not to be treated like the next big trend. So I get the anger. But I also understand that I have zero control over what other people do, and also what other people choose to consume and what other people choose to watch. And like all trends, I imagine that it will die. It will just die. It will be popular and trendy for a while, and then it will move on and people will forget all about it, and there'll be the next big trend, and we'll all be bitching about that because that's what we do. All I can do is be honest and genuine and authentic as much as possible, and all I can do is look myself in the eye every night, or in the mirror or whatever, or watch back my videos, or look at what I've posted on Instagram or whatever, and every day be able to say, that was genuine, that was me. I posted that from a real place of authenticity, and it wasn't about getting people to pay attention to me, and it wasn't about trying to be someone's guru or someone's spiritual woo-ha or whatever. It was just about being authentic and honest and genuine and sharing something because I felt like I had something to share. And I also get that being authentic means that sometimes people are going to love you and they're going to really warm to you and they're going to like what you're selling, if you like, and other times they're really not. And that's also something that you have no control over. So all you can really do is show up and be yourself and be honest with yourself and be honest with the people that are giving you their time. And that's authenticity. And that's all we can really ask of each other.